What's cracking, everybody? Felros here, bringing you some Pokemon Go Battle League content. And in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at some battles off of a patron live stream that I had over this past weekend with some battles featuring the nuttiest little save swap I've ever seen, Greedent. Now, we have forgotten about Greedent because it's been so long since it's been meta relevant because the Ultra League has been flush with Swords of Justice and Pidgeot and all these other things that beat it. But in this Ultra League Premier Cup, where the Swords of Justice are nowhere to be seen, and honestly, it's just Walrein, Trevenant, and Charizard and Swampert and Greedent does very, very well in this meta. And these patron live streams are exclusive to my patron Discord, which you can join. There's a link in the description. You get all of my early access to my videos, my teams, my tips for the metas, the teams that I'm coming out with for any upcoming metas. So, for example, we've already got Love Cup teams in the Discord already. We're ready to go. So, if you'd like to join that Discord, again, link in the description for that. And if you're looking for coaching for your looking to get better at the game. I can't speak English today. Looking to improve yourself, your gameplay, looking to get to that next rank. Metafy is the place you can find me. Another link in the description for that. And without further ado, let's take a look at these battles. Now, you've probably seen these this team here. The Florges on the lead. Obstagoon in the back. You're like, what do you do against Charizard? And I'll tell you what we do against Charizard. We outplay the Charizard. So my opponent has a Jellicent lead in this first game. I'm going to bring my Greedent in immediately. My opponent safe swaps in Skarmory, and that's a reasonably tough thing for my Greedent to handle. So we're just going to spam the crunches out. I'm going to overfarm my energy here at some point just to try and see if I can't CMP. I think that was me trying to CMP on a crunch, but didn't go too well. At this point, I'm just going to farm up a bunch of extra energy if I can. I know that my opponent has the defense debuff here, so if I wait for them to throw, this could be a Brave Bird, and then that would be giving me an option to hit a crunch with a triple defense debuff. But opponent goes for double sky attacks here, and because they have a Jellicent on the lead, I would prefer to have that alignment with my Obstagoon. And by the way, Obstagoon with Obstruct in this meta is disgusting. And I have plenty of cases as to why that is. Now, I throw on 4 here to make sure that I can get to this crunch before my opponent is going to get to another Sky Attack. That's going to allow me to grab a shield here, and I don't need to shield this, to be honest. What I've decided to do here is shield anyway. I don't need to shield it if I don't want to, but I do prefer to get the alignment because I know they're going to need to basically go for another 4 or 5 to get to a Sky Attack, so I can farm up a bit of extra energy and just go for the Body Slam here. Take out the Skarmory. My opponent has a Stun Fist, and now you can already see it. Obstagoon's going to clean this game up very nicely. And because I have Obstruct, I come in immediately right now. My opponent is going to come in with a Jellicent. I'm assuming they've probably got Bubble Beam, as most of them do. So Bubble Beam is going to hit my Obstagoon, and I'm going to start going for Obstructs here. I would really like to be able to get a attack boost at some point with my Night Slashes, but my opponent does shield up. They shield up the Obstruct, which is insane. And these battles are done in like the mid 2900 elo range, maybe 2800s. I can't remember where I was when I did these battles. I've had a rough week in Ultra League Premier Cup, and I have not had fun. Charizard made this meta into an extremely RPS meta, as it will with every meta it's in, because you're basically gonna get blasted by baits and things, and it's just like, it's a very skillful Pokemon, yes, but at the same time, its mere existence has just turned things into an RPS fest. Now, I come in with my Florges here to reset the attack debuff. I'm gonna go for the Psychic. I just need to basically let this Stun Fist take me out. I save my Greedent in the back just in case I might be able to get a catch or something, but overall, my win condition here is coming in with my Obstagoon at some point, loading up on energy and or going for those Obstructs and Night Slashes to take out the Jellicent that's in the back. And this game is taking forever because we have spammy Pokemon doing resisted damage, and anything involving a Jellicent usually has debuffs attached to it. So this is going to end up being practically a timeout. But look at how strong that Florges is. Now, I come in here with my Greedent to preserve my Florges. I thought that I'd be able to KO with the 1 Bullet Seed. My opponent comes in, and because I have a Night Slash loaded, I'm going to be able to win by timeout because my Pokemon will have more remaining HP than theirs will, and that is going to be a good game. Well played. I did have that game in the bag for sure if there was no timeout, because all I had to do was go for another Night Slash, and all they have was Bubble Beam. So, excellent lead in the next game here against the Scrafty. So the point of this entire team, right, is to basically have the Florges on the lead, and you draw out the Scrafty or Obstagoon with the Greedent, and you get it low enough into a farm range because the Bullet Seed Body Slam is good enough for you to get to that range without taking out some of those hard counter Pokemon. And then you use Florges as our energy. If there's like a Charizard on the lead, for example, you are just going to slap it with Psychics. And even though it's a Psychic, right, it's non-stab, but Psychic does a little over half of a Charizard's HP. So that by itself puts it near Night Slash range. So the synergy with this team, even though it all technically loses to Charizard on paper, all very excellent. Now, I counter swap my Goon here. The reason why is because they've got Scrafty, and I'm almost expecting them to have something else in the back that wasn't Charizard. I don't know why I was expecting this to be anything else, but I'm going to go for Obstruct here. I'm going to start buffing my defense. I want to lower their defense because they just came in with their Charizard. And I'm going to come in with my Greedent here. Now, the defense drop here is going to be very big because these body slams are going to add up very quickly. My opponent goes for the Blast Burn. I shield it up because I would rather force them to go for another Blast Burn here. And I will tank one Blast Burn. I just didn't want to have to tank two. So now that they're out of energy for the most part, I can just go one Bullet Seed, throw the Body Slam. One Bullet Seed, throw the Body Slam, and continue to put this pressure on my opponent. They're going to start shielding now. And because they were out of energy, I can safely keep going for these moves. And since they're only at 4, I should be able to get to another one before they get to the next Blast Burn. Blast Burn. So, gonna get the Body Slam off here. It does a fair amount of damage. Now they've hard swapped in the Scrafty. I'm gonna hard swap in my Florges, and that's basically going to be a good game. Well played to this trainer, but the Florges just had the alignment, and they couldn't get around it. So, speaking of bad alignment, though, we've got G-Fisk on the lead versus my Florges, so I dip out of there. My opponent is staying in. I'm gonna stay in here, get as much energy as I can. I decide not to shield the Earthquake because I think I would rather save the shield. I already know that my Obstagoon is going to have plenty of play here, depending on what they bring in. I would like to have the Obstagoon aligned, obviously, but my opponent comes in here with a Gyarados, and with all the energy that I've got, this Gyarados is going to have a really tough time beating me. So it depends on if they shield here. That's going to kind of dictate how I play this out. If my opponent decides not to shield any of these, then I may come in with my Florges, I may shield my own Greedent, but as soon as they no-shield that Bullet Seed, I'm immediately now going to commit a shield and get Switch. Because now that I know that my Obstagoon can be lined up against the G-Fisk, I'm in a much better position to win this game. And they're going to come in with a Pidgeot. So, once again, with good timing, right? You have a 3-turn move in Bullet Seed versus a 2-turn move on the opponent's side. You're going to go one, get their one Bullet Seed through, throw the Body Slam, and then you're going to let them get 2 wing attacks in return, but it's better than letting them get a whole wing attack for free, if you know what I mean. Now, my opponent is going to try and farm me down, and they do not get to it. They will have to take another Body Slam, which Florges and Obstagoon, as soon as I saw the Pidgeot, I knew my Obstagoon was going to eat here, because with Obstruct, Pidgeot is a sitting duck against Obstagoon, so I bring in my Florges here. They're going to go for the Brave Bird. That's not actually going to do much damage. I've actually picked up my Florges from Factions, and so my intention here is I'm going to shield up whatever this is. Could be an Earthquake, could be an Rock Slide, I don't care. I'm going to go for Obstruct. And because they threw the Earthquake, now I can get to the next Obstruct before they can get to another Earthquake, and you're going to watch how much damage this Obstruct boosts make these Earthquakes do. It's laughable. So gonna go for the Obstruct here, but the Florges I actually built it from Factions because it was a very effective, like, soft check to the Pidgeot Cobalion core, and like you just saw, it just tanked a Brave Bird like it didn't care. Like, that thing, the Florges has a surprising amount of bulk and a surprising amount of bulk and offense here that actually is pretty good. Like, it's not bad whatsoever, but you saw how much damage that Earthquake did. It was laughable. So gonna be able to counter down the Pidgeot, and that's gonna be a good game. Unfortunately, my opponent just did not have an answer in the back for the Obstagoon. So this is a Swampert lead, and sometimes my opponents think for some reason this thing's a grass type. So I'm gonna swap after doing one just to see if my opponent swaps first, because sometimes they will, and then I'll bring in my Greedent and start loading up on energy. Do you see how much damage those Bullet Seeds do? Now, my opponent swaps in their Walrein. So this tells me that they probably don't have a super solid answer to Greedent. They may not be running Charizard here. And if they are, then shame on me. But my opponent is going to bring in the Walrein. And here, actually, what I'm looking to do, potentially here, is try and see if I can just get myself an energy advantage, somewhere. Very likely this matchup, if the opponent doesn't shield, I can commit one shield and farm down, and that's going to be a ton of problems for this Swampert. So I'm going to shield, and look at how much HP I have left. The Swampert can't farm me down safely. They will have to throw energy. And so this is going to allow me to just do a bunch of one Bullet Seed, throw the Body Slam. That's really the key here with Greedent. But they do have a Charizard, so I guess more of the same. Their farm ability is going to be a little bit stronger, but I'm going to just do as much damage as I can with Greedent here. I want to throw with... I threw with bad timing there on purpose because I didn't think I was going to get to another move. So Yeah, so there's that. Now, my opponent is going to throw a Blast Burn here. And I come with 4 just because you see how much health they have. They are in range for me to get shields off of them with my Forges, but instead they're going to get the Disarming Voice on their Swampert. This is important because of the fact that I got a shield, first of all, which is really nice. I'm going to let this go, and I'm going to start getting Obstagoon, like, you're just going to get him rolling. So I'm going to come in with my Goon here, and I'm going to get the Obstructs off, and I'm going to hopefully get my opponent's shield. They're probably not going to shield, though, until we end up seeing the Charizard come back in. So I'm actually going for Night Slash here. I want damage pressure, right? Because I can use my Greedent to do a catch, and I didn't want to obstruct before before I was able to get going with obstructs, because I wanted to I can't think today. I wanted to save the obstructs for after I did that sack swap so that I could keep my debuff without having to give it up. Now I'm going to be able to go for obstruct, and my opponent will have to shield this out of fear of Night Slash. And they shield it, which is huge. So now I don't even Blast Burn's not gonna do anything. Liz, watch. Blast Burn. Little to nothing. And there I'm going to be able to get to the Night Slash before my opponent gets to a move. But they are going to have a move ready here. Is it a Dragon Claw? It's a Dragon Claw, which means now the opponent is going to be in range for me to Night Slash the Swampert. And that's going to be a good game. Very well played. I'm telling you guys, I hardly have lost to the Charizards with this team. It's actually really dumb. Like, the amount of offensive pressure and, like, defense on this team is just so nutty. Like, I keep making nutty because it's a green video, but realistically, like, all 3 of these Pokemon have a huge role to play on this team, and it's hard for me to pick just one for the thumbnail and the feature. But, you know, Greedent, like, look at it go. It's just, like, the Charizard isn't swapping out, which probably means there's, like, a Wall Rain in the back, or maybe they have a better answer for Florges. Could be, like, a Tentacruel or something back there. I don't know, but the fact that they're staying in means that I get to keep it away from my Obstagoon, which is honestly just fine with me, and I can easily tank a Blast Burn here if I need to. My opponent is going to probably either swap out, or they're going to... Oh, they came in with the Wall Rain. See, so I'm going to continue to farm up energy, and that's one of the keys for this team, right? When you're playing something like Greedent, you want to maximize the amount of energy that you can get, yeah? You want to maximize the amount of energy you get by knowing the counts on your opponent's moves. Now, my opponent is going to throw an Earthquake here. And the reason why I let it go rather than shield, even though I'm going for Obstruct, is because I feel like I need to save my shields for later. And at this point, I know that the Icicle Spear is not going to KO. I'm going to get my farm down, and I'm fine with that. I'm saving my shield for my Pokemon that I have in the back. Obstagoon's going to do just fine. The Charizard has enough HP to be within range for these Night Slashes to KO, so I may get both shields here, or they'll just let the Charizard go. And they're not at enough for a Dragon Claw even yet. So, I'm going to be able to get these Night Slashes off. My opponent decides not to shield, and I'm staying in with Obstagoon here because they have a Trevenant in the back, and I swap out to catch the move with a Night Slash loaded, knowing that I also have a move almost ready to go on my Greedent, and all I need to do at this point is pressure this Trevenant into either down to the point where a Night Slash plus the Crunch will get the shield and KO, or I need them to shield. So at this point, I just need them to take out my my Florges. I'm just going to put the Night Slash into this thing, and then put the Crunch into this thing. And then the Trevenant basically, they can't do anything. So the Disarming Voice is going to do enough damage to threaten a shield here off this Trevenant, and then it's just a matter of one of these two getting a move off. Now, I'm actually scared here, because if my opponent gets the one turn, you know, desync lag, they could potentially fire off a couple of seed bombs at me. So they win the CMP here. I shield up, hoping that we did not have that desync happen, but thankfully it was a CMP tie, and the Night Slash will take out the Trevenant, and that's going to be a good game. Very well played to my opponent. There's a lot of dancing that has to go on with this team. And this is one of those really nice leads. Like Scrafty and Obstagoon, you couldn't ask for a better lead. My opponent comes in with Ampharos. I remember this game. Yep, I make a massive mistake here. So, you assume that an Ampharos probably has either Zap Cannon or Focus Blast on the save swap. And I don't know how much damage a Focus Blast does from Ampharos. I'm just saying I'm going to try it and find out. Nope, opponent absolutely claps me with the Focus Blast, and I'm not going to be able to win Switch here unless they decide to no-shield. So in the future, your opponent builds up to 5. You just shield the stupid move. Now, fortunately for me, I do get a shield advantage here, but it's not going to matter very much if their Obstagoon has it's not going to matter too much if their Obstagoon has Cross Chop. So I'm going to just come in with my Florges, try and get a farm down. I'm really going to hope that what they have in the back maybe isn't super fond of Florges either, but my opponent gets to another move and I have to shield this, which really feels bad. So their Ampharos is going to go down here, and then they're going to come in with Charizard. And now I'm going to try to unload my energy, and I'm just going to see if I can wing it. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm probably screwed, but what I'm going to do here is I'm going to bring in my Charizard, or bring in my Obstagoon to try and lure out their Obstagoon. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to potentially try and get a shield. Maybe they think this is a Cross Chop, and they don't fall for it. So now, unfortunately, they do have Cross Chop because that was only 5, and they're going to fire it off at me, and that is going to hurt a lot. But because of the defense differences, I'm going to be able to get them very low, and I'm hoping that maybe this forces their shield, but they're not going to shield. They're going to save the shield for their Charizard, and they're just going to take me out. And despite me getting the attack boost, I basically need to go for a Disarming Voice, bait, and then go for the Psychic. My opponent's going to go for Dragon Claws here. I'm just going to no-shield it, because I know it's double the resistance, but that's going to bring me so low to the point where it doesn't matter. So, very well played to my opponent. They even though they lost the lead, me not shielding that Focus Blast was definitely the pivotal moment that I needed to win that game, and unfortunately I just didn't. So, well done by them. Also, shame on me for not shielding a Focus Blast. Alright, another great lead here in Florges into Chesnaught. And now they bring in the Ampharos, and this time I come straight in with the Greedent. I learned my lesson. I'm not falling for it again. If my opponent has the, if they go up to 5, I'm going to shield it, and I'm not even going to risk it, man. I don't need that again. But because I can throw with good timing here, 1 Bullet Seed is 1 turn less than a Volt Switch. It means I'll be able to fit my moves in here, and then the opponent's going to have to go up to a lot of energy. I think they're like at 7 right now, so I'm definitely going to shield. I don't think there's any point, but since I have Thunder Punch, most safe swap Ampharos is also run Brutal Swing, so at this point, pretty safe to say they don't have Focus Blast. And if they do, then again, I'll just take the loss, but now I'm going to be able to throw with good timing because I have a bunch of extra energy. And, something's messing with the fan back there. Chesnaught's going to come back in, and they have a lot of energy to, or they're going to need a lot of fast moves to get the energy to throw a farm down. So they will have to throw energy here in order to take out my Greedent. And I'm going to keep going on energy, and then just see how much damage I can do to the Chesnaught. Greedent at this point is just steamrolling through however much of this team it can before it gets taken out. It has more than done its job, and I'm assuming that this person probably has, actually, I don't know what they have. They basically will have something in the back that is probably weak to like a G-Fisk, maybe even a G-Fisk itself. I don't expect my opponent to, it's hard to say, right? Because Chesnaught could have any number of things in the back. I'm hoping that maybe it's like an Ice type or something. And they have a Lantern in back. So this is very, very RPS-y sort of team. They basically have 2 answers in the back for the Flyers, which makes a lot of sense. So my Obstagoon's going to have to come in here and start getting to work. I am going to try to get to a move before they get to the Thunderbolt, but I will call the Thunderbolt. I will shield it and start obstructing here. And that is going to get me started. Now, even that Chesnaught, with as low HP as it has, won't be able to survive a Night Slash where it is. So I'm going to go for 2 obstructs here because I want to just get going. I don't want them to be able to touch me because I know that the only damage that they're going to do significantly is the Thunderbolt. So after 2 obstructs here, now I'm going to just farm all the way down with Goon at this point. And because my opponent comes in with the Chesnaught, I don't remember how much energy they had, so I will fire off this Night Slash just to be on the safe side. And they shield, and they are not quite at a move, but they get there. And I'm like, I'm just going to try it. That was a complete chance swap, but that's what we do. We catch a move on the Florges, and then Lantern's going to come in, has to dump its energy before it gets hit with a Disarming Voice, and now the opponent will basically just go down to the Night Slash that I'm basically at, and that's going to be a good game. Once again, very well played to my opponent. Obstagoon just putting in so much work. I never really understood just how stupid obstruct buffs were until I started playing around with it recently, and honestly, the Obstagoon is just redonkulous. It's a term I haven't used in a while. Alright, Jellicent leads, so once again, like last time, we've got 2 better answers in the back, so I'm going to take it, and this team is now working just as I had intended. Brings out the Scrafty, going to go for as many body slams as I can while keeping good timing because I don't want them to sneak a counter through. That's more detrimental, and I would rather just practice the timing because that makes it actually makes this matchup much closer. If the opponent had let me get maybe 1 or 2 more Bullet Seeds ahead, I could get to an extra Body Slam and force a shield here. But essentially what has to happen is that they have to go for power-up punches to clip me from getting to a fourth Body Slam here. So my opponent did play this correctly, but you see, if now what I should be able to do is I should be able to throw 1 more Bullet Seed Oh, no, I shouldn't. That's timing. I'm just messed up my timing there. But here we go. We're going to go and start farming down, going to town on this Florges. And even then, the Florges can still launch a move back at the Jellicent if it needs to. Or if there's a chance that my opponent maybe has a Charizard in the back, they're going to bring it in here. But no, they have a Nidoqueen, and that is really awkward. No one runs Nidoqueen anymore, so I'm kind of screwed. So Nidoqueen basically walls the rest of my team, but they aren't expecting me to be running Psychic, and so I'm staying in here with my Florges here, letting them get the energy that they need to take me out. And I'm going to go for the Disarming Voice Bait. I'm hoping they don't know the counts, which most people don't, because Florges is a very uncommon pick here in the Ultra League, and my opponent's going to go for Poison Fang now. That was a complete chance no shield. I figured they would try to bait because I had 2 shields, and now what I'm looking to do here is I'm going for the Night Slash because I want to take out the Nidoqueen. I need it to be gone, because if my opponent's got the Jellicent in back, now it's time for me to start using my poison, or my shields. And I'm going to go for the Night Slash, and my opponent makes an excellent catch on their Jellicent. So what I'm going to start doing here is I am going to get a boost, which is so just wonky. I'm assuming they're not running Ice Beam. I'm going to save my shield, but they built up to it, and I have to respect it because I will lose this game if I don't get it. So they do get the Bubble Beam off. I was in the moment I was thinking I shouldn't shield this because it could be a Bubble Beam, but it would be my luck that it was. And so they're running Bubble Beam, so I'm actually going to build up some extra energy here, and I'm expecting at this point they're probably going to come in with the they're going to come in with that Nidoqueen. My point here was I wanted to build it with the 2 Night Slashes to take out both the Nidoqueen and take out the obstacle. But my opponent makes a quick swap in at the exact same time as I do, and we both go for they go for a move because I think they were trying to grab my my Florges off there. But I didn't know they had that much energy either, so it's probably good for me that that happened. But that was a close one. That was a very, very close one. And that's going to be the last battle for this video, guys. So, once again, just had an absolute blast hanging out with my patrons on the live stream. And if you'd like to join us, again, there's a link in the description. You can join that server and be a part of the greatest community that I've ever been a part of in this wonderful community of Pokemon Go. So, that's going to do it for me, guys. I'm going to catch you in the next video. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.